Hey, everybody, what is going on? Serial Overdrive here, and today we're going to be going over 13 game-changing Rust console edition tips and tricks. Some of these are going to seem fairly obvious, but some of them are going to leave you wondering how you were playing the game before you knew them. But before we get into it, have you hit the subscribe button yet? I've been looking at the metrics, and a lot of you keep missing that button. You're coming back to these videos time and time again, but you're not hitting that button, so you know what? Today is the day. Hit that button, make it happen, make me happy, and make sure that you get the next video because you don't want to get outplayed. Now, let's get into it. So the first tip I've got is around bandages. Did you know if you start bandaging yourself, that is going to stop bleeding? So if you're bleeding and you bandage yourself, but before using food or a stim, you're going to stop the bleeding, and now that stim is going to be able to have that sort of long tail healing that it has. If you use it before, the bleeding is going to slow down that long tail healing and you won't be able to get the full health benefit. Next up, if when you log off you place a furnace in your door, it makes it a lot harder for people raiding your bases, especially if we're talking about a 2x1. Now instead of having to go through 2 doors, they've got to go through 2 doors and a furnace. In addition to that, when you set up your airlock, always make sure there's one door that will block someone's entry, because what this means is even if someone kills you, they're not going to be able to get into your base, and a lot of the time, they won't even be able to get your loot. Also gives you a little peek hole that you can snipe out of and hit potential door campers from. Next up, when you're going to be placing your tool cupboard, make sure you've got some walls down first, because the way Rust Console Edition works is it has snapping, so everything snaps to different items. If you have those 2 walls on, it's going to be much easier to get a nice clean snap in a corner, and what this is going to enable you to do is it is going to allow you to put down a workbench right next to your tool cupboard. So just like this, you can put a tool cupboard and workbench right in line. This is something I think that only works for the Rust Console Edition because of how the snap works, but once you get the hang of it, it is super easy to do. And what it allows you to do is put down a really nice looking sort of 1x1 base. So after you've put down the tool cupboard and the workbench, put down a large box. After that, drop in a furnace, and then the next part should be pretty easy. You put in a bag in a small box, and you should have something that looks like this. For a beginner, this one square is pretty much all you need. There is a blueprint table that does need to be added, but that's something you could probably drop outside your base, and as long as someone's not camping you, you can use it fairly effectively. Also, you shouldn't be doing a 1x1 base to begin with, but it's really nice that you can fit everything into the square, especially if you're on a good server that has a ton of people. Just put this down and that's how you get started. Next up, if you're looking to get animals, you can lay traps for them. So one thing I like to do is find a small sort of path that they're going to have to go across and put down some barricades there. Next up, if you run into newbies like this that are running towards the outpost, even if you get that kill, don't go and loot them, because the outpost has an extremely far range and it will shoot you down before you think it would. So if you kill someone and it looks like you're on the range, or if you shot someone and they're running towards the outpost, it's usually best to just give up and walk away rather than get too close and get shot down. And next up, we've got a tip that pretty much every Rust YouTuber has dropped at some point, so I figure I've got to add this into the video: the campfire. If you get a campfire and it's just you there, it's going to only have a comfort level of 50%, but if there's a partner there, it's going to go up to 100%. This is an easy way to figure out if someone's door camping you. In addition to this, you can also lay down carpets, which will boost your comfort level. So if you put carpets on the ceiling of your base and then you have a campfire, or if you just have a ton of carpets on the ceilings, walls, and bottom of your base or the floor of your base, you're going to get healing just by standing in your base, as long as your food indicator is above a certain threshold. I'm not 100% sure what that is, but just make sure you're fully fed. You go into your base, you're going to have that nice comfort level, and you're going to actually start healing just by being there. So it's a good way to avoid wasting bandages, wasting stims, wasting food. You just put down some carpets, and they're going to do all the work that you need while you sit there crafting. And now let's jump over to some controller settings, because I know everybody likes to hear those. So finally, with the controller, you do want to have auto reload on. That just makes it a lot easier when you're shooting at someone. When it comes to options and controller layout, you can turn on the head look, which means you can look different directions when you're running without changing the path that you're running on. That's very nice. When it comes to crouch input, sprint input, it's really nice to have those set to toggle. For the hub, there's a stance and an inventory indicator that you can turn on. I find these extremely helpful. And finally, When it comes to the volume, if you go down to enhanced instincts, you always want that on. Without it on, you can't hear footsteps, gunfire, and wildlife as clearly as you could otherwise. So this is literally a game-changing tip because yeah, if you don't have this on, every other player that has it on gets a nice advantage over you. So anyways, hopefully these tips and tricks helped. If they did, please hit the like button. If they didn't, hit the dislike button. I just want to see how many people are learning something new and how many people are just having their time wasted from these videos. But no matter what, I do appreciate the fact that you made it this far. Thank you so much, and I really hope you have a great day and a great time playing Rust. Until next time, peace.